Today I will teach you about order blocks. I will not only explain what order blocks are, but also how to identify an order block and how to identify the right one to trade, so that you will never be confused again. So ICT is using order blocks for ages and has always had a lot of success with it. Now, I've also been using order blocks for years now, but before I knew what an order block was, I called it something else. I called it supply and demand. So if you are familiar with supply and demand, you will also be very familiar with order blocks. It is practically the same. Before I was familiar with supply and demand, I was trading previous highs and lows. This is something that we will touch on in a future video, but basically what I would do, I would trade a break and retest, and I was basically just trading order blocks or break blocks. So that is something that we will go over today. I will tell you exactly what an order block is, how to identify them, and how to trade the right one. So first of all, what is an order block? The name itself says it already and explains it already itself a little bit, but it is a block that contains of orders. So how does this look like on the chart? This is mostly a consolidation zone followed by a big move afterwards. Most of the time it is taking liquidity, it is filling stop losses so that the market has enough liquidity to make its move either bullish or bearish. Guys, because we're coming up to the end of the year, we have the holidays right in front of us, I have something very special for you. You guys know that I've always put a lot of work and love into the Trading Central. We had the Trading Central 1, we had the Trading Central 2.0, and now there is coming a third version, the Trading Central 3.0. I've always been thinking about how can I give something back to the community, and this was my way of doing it, but of course it was never free. It always came with a cost, even though it was a small cost, but I was still thinking some people can't afford this. So I decided to make this one free. So there is a link in the description to join the waiting list. The Trading Center will be dropping by the end of the year so that you go into 2024 fresh and ready. If you join the waiting list, you will be the first one to get the Trading Central 3.0. Be sure to get it, link in the description, totally free. This is my gift to you for an awesome year on YouTube. So how do we identify the order block? Whenever we are on a downtrend, we have red candles going down. Then all of a sudden we have a bullish candle, maybe even two, and then we have a big drop, and then of course the olive wicks. So what is the order block in this case? It is this right here. So it is the opposite color as to what the trend is doing. So in this case, the bullish candles are indicating our order block. Let's say it was the other way around. We were going upwards, a lot of momentum, and then all of a sudden we had some red blocks, and then we had a very big move upwards afterwards. What is the order block? It is this zone right here, because this was the zone where orders were collecting each other. That is something that you need to keep in mind. How does an order block look like? In this case, it is just two blue candles. In this case, it is just three red candles. But if we zoom in, and if we are imagining that the order block that we just draw is on a 1 hour time frame, it's on a 4 hour time frame, for example, this is what that will look like on a lower time frame. Just price going sideways. But remember, this is still this. And this is basically what that looks like on the charts. So as you can see, I have Euro USD with me on the daily time frame. And very important to notice that an order block can be spotted on a daily, on a weekly, on a 4 hour, on a 1 hour, on a 15, on a 5. It doesn't really matter, you can find them anywhere. But right here, for example, on the daily, it looks a bit like this. So why do I draw on from point A to point B on this range? So you have to remember what I said at the beginning. An order block is a block, a range collecting orders. So if it is collecting orders, it does this. It goes sideways from top to bottom. It is consolidating. So then, in my opinion, it would only be logical to take that whole range into consideration. So right here, we have this whole range with this other color candle in it, this bullish candle in this downwards move. And then we have this very bearish momentum afterwards, followed by that fair value gap. And that is the order block right here. Then same example right here, that last upwards push move before the downwards move. It's this zone right here, it's not been tapped. Then right here I would say it is this zone, right here I would say it is this zone. And I think you get the point. It is from the bottom of the zone right before that drop to the top of the zone right before that drop, and that is what I consider that order block. Now how do we find the right one? Because there are so many order blocks on here, and there are so many opportunities to enter on the 1 hour, on the 4 hour, on the 50 minutes. Basically on every time frame you can find an order block. So how do we use the right one? And in my opinion, it is very important to know what kind of a trader you are before you take an entry on any of these concepts. If you're a swing trader, go look at the daily and the 4 hour. If you're more of an intraday trader, go look at the 4 hour, the 15 and the 1 hour. And if you're a scalper, look at the 15 or below. So in my case, I'm an intraday trader. I would always look at the daily first so that I know where I'm at in the market. So for example, right now on EUR/USD, I know that the weekly is in sort of a decline right here. We broke the previous lows, we made a pullback, and then we had a good reaction to go even lower perhaps. Okay, I have that in the back of my mind. So then I'm going to be going to the daily, and I'm going to be looking for point of interest areas for all the blocks that could potentially be a reversal point for us. So what do I look for in an order block is those other colored candles. So in the downwards move, those bullish candles, and an upwards move, those bearish candles. And I want them to create a fair value gap. Why do I want them to create a fair value gap? This shows me that this order block has created a lot of momentum with it, a lot of displacement. Because the fair value gap is an imbalance in the market, and it only gets created by displacement because there's so much movement to create that gap, right? So these are two things that I want to be seeing in the market. Now, in our case, let's say that we didn't see this yet, and we only saw that EU broke the previous weekly lows down to the left right here, these right here, and then we started to create that pullback. So then our first question needs to be on the daily, where is that pullback going to? So without using any of the other tools, without using the fair value gap, without using the OTE, that will be discussed in the next video by the way, we will be marking out the order blocks that we could potentially go to. Let's see to the left. We have an order block right here that created a big fair value gap afterwards, but as you can see, it gets broken right away. Was this order block valid? There were candles in the other color. Was it a fair value gap? Was a break of structure? It's also very important that I forgot to mention. You want that order block to create a break of structure while it is displacing downwards or while it is displacing upwards. Because otherwise, if there's not enough momentum to be breaking a low, to be breaking a high, this will show that that order block is not that strong as you want it to be. So right here, it did all of that. But then quite frankly and quite strongly, we came upwards and we broke the previous high. We broke past that order block. Why did it happen? Because we broke the weekly lows right here, and weekly is higher than daily. Doesn't matter what it is. So okay, this is our first indication that the daily is shifting around and that the pullback has started. Very good. So now we are looking at the second one. This one right here. Is this an order block? It is an order block. Is this a valid order block for us? No, it isn't. There's no fair value gap created. A lot of sideways movement right here, right after the order block. So we are not touching it. Then right here we have the next one. Is this a valid order block for us? Yes, it is. Why? It did break the previous lows right here. I will mark it out so that it maybe is a bit more easy for you guys to see. So it did create a break of structure right here, and it did create a fair value gap right here. So you have that fair value gap. We'll also mark that one out in case it was not clear yet. And by the way, if you guys don't know what a fair value gap is, or if you are confused, please go watch the previous video where I'll talk about fair value gaps and which one to take. I will make that one a bit of a gold color so that it's very, very clear. So is this one for us valid when we are looking at the pullback back upwards? Yes and no. It was a valid one, but as you can see, we already tapped into it. With this move right here, we tapped into the fair value gap first, and then also cleared some movement in this order block, and then continued our way down. So this order block has already been taken. We're not looking at that one anymore. Then we could perhaps say that this also was an order block right here. Big fair value gap afterwards. We broke the previous lows. Is this one valid? I would say again the same story as it was before. We had a fair value gap right here. It did get cleared. And we might or we might haven't tapped into the order block right here with this wick. But when it is this close, don't think, okay, we didn't tap into it. So when we get here, for example, when we do this, we need to go down afterwards. No, this is just a zone portrayed by TradingView and where price action has been moving, but it is never 100% correct. It is always depending on the broker you're watching. It is always depending on the broker you're trading. So it might have tapped it. You don't know that for sure. So if it is this close to it, and if it has filled the fair value gap that comes after the order block, I would say consider it taken. And then of course we have a big move upwards right here, but I would argue that this is more of a pullback by itself than an order block, but we could still consider it like this, daily OB. And then this could be target number one. Then if we go a little bit further, but this of course is a very, very big target, and I will show you how we are going to narrow this down, plus how we are going to enter on these order blocks. So then we have an order block right here. We have a fair value gap. We break the previous lows. So there is some momentum right here. As you can see, momentum, that was a little bit down, but there is still a lot of momentum going downwards afterwards. So in my opinion, it is still a valid order block. And as you can see, whenever we tapped into this one, we had that reaction that we were looking for. You might say, okay, why didn't we trade these ones? These ones were pretty going forward, right? We didn't trade these ones because they were tapped into already. So why didn't we trade this one? We could have traded this one. Why didn't we react to it? Why didn't anything happen when we came to it? As you can see, when we came into the dollar block, we were going sideways a little bit. And by the way, how you can narrow this down is you go just time frame lower and you search for all the blocks within that big zone that you have on the daily. So right here, there's another block right here. And this could be your first narrowing down. There's a small order block right here, but I would say if we're not reacting to this one, we're most probably not going to react to this one either. And as you can see, once we came into this order block, we went sideways for a little bit. That shows that we might have a reaction coming out of it, but then of course you want to see it going the other way instead of going more up. If you see price and it breaks this order block right here, you can be sure that we are not going to respect this one and we go to the next target. So I wouldn't even touch this one, and the reason for it is that we are going to use something else, and it's called the Fibonacci retracement to narrow our entries even more down. And this will be a topic for the next video, but when I explain it to you really quickly like this, you can see that I have a golden zone right here, the 61.8 to the 70.5. And as you can see, there is only one order block that is inside of that golden zone, and it is this one right here. And this is also the one that we reacted to. So this is what I do on the daily. This is what I do on a daily time frame. And do I trade on the daily time frame? Do I take my entries on there? No, I don't. But it is very important to know where we are heading and where we are coming from. So for example, right here, when I saw this happening, we broke the previous highs and we changed direction on the daily and on the 4 hour. I knew, okay, we are turning bullish because we took out the previous weekly lows. We are creating that pullback right now, but where are we going to? I started out marking my points on the daily and starting speculating where we could be heading to, and this was the only other block that I saw that had some potential for me inside of that golden zone. So then I went down to a 4 hour and basically rode this whole wave upwards up to this point. Then I wanted to see some reaction from this order block right here before I started taking short positions. So then we came to this order block right here. Liquidity got taken out right here by this movement. Then we broke out of this consolidation zone. We left a lot of fair value gaps, perfect entries right here, and basically just rode the wave downwards. But that is how you identify the right order block, guys. Now let's go into FX replay and let's backtest this for a couple of trades. And keep in mind, you can do this on any pair, on any time frame basically. But of course, the higher the time frame, the better it will work. But right now I just chose Euro USD because this is basically my bread and butter pair. And if you want to get FX Replay, I think it is the best backtesting software in the game. It is the best Christmas present that you can get yourself in 2023 to make sure you excel your trading in 2024 by backtesting. I always say this to my mentees, backtesting is the only thing that we traders can do to get those reps in. Of course, you can do forward testing, but it will take years to do the same thing that I'm doing on FX Replay. So if you really want to excel your trading, there's a link in the description. Make sure to use code JORAFX to get yourself a 15% off. So, Euro USD. We are going to apply everything that we have learned about order blocks. So first of all, we go to the daily and we start looking, okay, what is this direction going and what is the market trending in? As you can see, daily wise, it is clearly going bullish. But what is the weekly saying? The weekly is also going bullish, I would say. This is, by the way, 2023. I just pulled up 2023 in March, I believe. Just a random date that I quickly picked. And I opened the chart. I have not taken any trades on this. So we are going to explore it together. But we can see weekly is clearly bullish. We started creating some kind of pullback. So I would expect a little bit lower, then maybe go higher afterwards. But for now, we can't expect anything. We need to remain bullish. Of course, I do know what happens in these charts. And of course, not precisely day by day. But I'm going to analyze them as I would not have any clue what would happen whatsoever. So what can we see? We came bullish, so we are searching for bullish order blocks. The first one that comes right to my eye right here is this one right here. Bullish order block, creates a fair value gap, breaks the previous highs, so it creates a break of structure right here. It is very valid. This is the first one for us to take attention to. If this one gets broken, we go to the next one. Then on the 4 hour, let's see if we can narrow this even more down. I think it is somewhat the same, so that's very, very good. Are we seeing displacement coming out of the zone? Yes, we are. What happened? The 4 hour changed structure. As you can see, we went from lower highs and lower lows to higher highs and higher lows. So then, okay, let's go to the 1 hour. What can we see right here? We have a little bit of an order block zone on the 1 hour down here. But if I'm completely honest, on the 4 hour, it's more looking like this whole zone right here. So we're going to see, are we going to get a sniper entry on the 1 hour, or are we going to reject off that 4 hour block? So price came to that 1 hour block. We did have a good reaction of it on the 1 hour. I was maybe a little bit too fast. I should have acted on the 15. So I'm going to be putting my entry right here. This is quite of a nice 15-minute consolidation zone. I give my trade enough room. As you can see, the low is on 16 pips. I will give it a 20 pip stop loss. We have the room, you know. And then I will target the highs right here. So we're going to place the order, 1% risk, and this is a limit order. Let's see what happens. Price gets stepped in, and then we get tapped out right here. As you can see, we are working our way up again. First of all, I gave it this much room, but I was like, let's just give it 20, there's plenty enough room. As you can see, it wasn't. Let's see what price does. Does it play out in the end? It does. It does play out perfectly in the end. So, as you can see, we had a very good reaction of this order block. What I should have seen when I'm reanalyzing this is this one right here. We have a 1 hour fair value gap inside of this order block zone. And the 1 hour order block zone is actually this. I have to narrow it down a little bit, like this. So what did price do? Price came to that order block zone, gave a fake out reaction, took liquidity out, and then moved upwards. So if I would have had another chance to handle this better, is of course give my stop loss a lot more room. As we have the upwards potential, there was no need for me to put it this tight, and maybe get a better entry on that fair value gap right here. Or if you're waiting for a reaction out of the fair value gap, get the entry right here and put the stops underneath here. Why? We have a clear reaction right here, creating fair value gaps. Then right here we break the previous high, so this will be the ultimate safe entry. And then the trade will be looking something like this. Now let's skip a little bit further and let's go to the next example that we can see. So there is already a 4 hour order block right here. So then we're going to go to the 1 hour. Let's see what we're doing. Price comes inside of this order block, comes inside of this fair value gap, the 1 hour fair value gap, creates displacement right here, also breaks the previous high. So I think this could be a very valid entry for us. Take the entry, stops underneath the low. We're targeting a 1 over 2 because that's mostly how we do. Price order, go. Okay, this is also an unfortunate loss. As you can see, we turned around completely right here. So then I'm always curious, okay, why did we do this? Why did we turn around completely? Maybe because we broke the previous highs right here. Most probably the case. Let's see on the 4 hour how it is looking like. Okay, let's see on the daily how it's looking like. Okay, so what does this indicate to us? We're most probably still creating a deeper pullback. So let's go into 1 hour. And now I can delete all of these. We have to wait for displacement out of some kind of order block. So we broke previous low right here, and we basically came into the deepest point of this order block down here. As you can see, we touched it at this time, but we touched it again right now. And if we get some good displacement out of it, we have some consolidation. The consolidation is also a good sign most of the time that there's something about to happen. As you can see, we have displacement upwards, and our trade could be somewhere right here. Maybe I can get a re-entry of this zone, place the order, we get higher open. With this gap open, by the way, this was a very good entry. I see that gaps like this that are created over the weekend are 99% of the time getting filled. So this could be a very good entry. So then this will probably be the entry. Again, coming out of the zone, fair value gap right here, order block right here. This could be your next entry. Again, the same thing right here, order block, comes down to it and goes further. Now let's see on the 4 hour. We are coming inside of a zone right here, but we are still remaining bullish. So we basically have to wait right now, as I'm not seeing any candles that are valid. And as you can see, it is very good that we waited. So we're coming down into this order block once again. Let's see if we're getting some reaction out of it. Most probably I don't think so, but we do. We do have some reaction out of it. So the 1 hour is giving us a bullish reaction right here. And that gives us a 1 hour order block down here with a fair value gap. So then we go to the 15 minutes, see if price is coming down to there. Price did came down to there and tapped in right here. So let's see, 15 minutes fair value gap, 15 minutes fair value gap. We could take the trade like this, target a 1 over 2, place the order, save, bam, this is our trade. Very, very easy. And why did I take this position? We tapped into the order block right here. We had a massive reaction upwards. We created a lot of fair value gaps that were filled. Of course, unfortunately we missed those. Then we came down right here. We created a fair value gap. Again, reacting to this order block that was created on the 1 hour, as we can see right here. And that was our entry, just a 1/2. So guys, trading order blocks can be very easy if you know what you're doing. It is very, very beneficial to give you the right direction and also a very good place to take your entries from. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a thing or two, and I will see you at the next lesson. Bye bye guys.